is basically doing the or move twice. So it is written as R2. And you could say that R3 is equivalent to R prime, but R prime is a much easier way. I can show this on my board over here. So first, if you go this direction or clock like this direction, that means it's R. And if you go here, that's R prime. But what about these? Those are the L moves, the next one. So the L move is basically the left side turned clockwise, similar to the R being the right side clockwise, and it goes like this. Similarly, you can probably guess what L prime is. It is counterclockwise turn of the left side, or this, which can be shown here. Again, L is this direction for clockwise, and L prime is this direction. But lastly, what if you do L 2 times? Then what move would be that? If you guessed L2, then you would be right. This is basically doing the L move twice, which is represented as L2. And similar to R, you could say that doing the L move 3 times would be L3, which is equal to R prime. But again, L prime, but it's easier to write L prime. However, we've only touched the side turns. What if we turn the top side counterclockwise, like this? That would be the U move. U stands for up. So you can say that U move is the upper side turned once clockwise. Similarly, U prime is the same thing, just the opposite, as it is counterclockwise. So this is U and this is U prime. I could show this on my thing. So if you go this direction, that would be U, and this direction, that would be U prime. The next move is the U2 move, which is pretty easy. It's actually the U move done twice, or U2. And again, U3 is equal to U prime, but it's better to write U prime instead. So now we have touched 3 types. We've got 3 more to go. So the next type is the D move. Here, this one is D, and this one is D prime. I can show this on my cube. This is the D move. This is the D prime. Similar, like other moves, D is the down face rotated clockwise, and D prime is the down face rotated counterclockwise. And then if you do D move twice, you get D2, the next move. Alright, we have now just got 2 more moves. What if you turn this side like this clockwise? That would be F. And if you do it the other way, if you do it this way, that would be F prime. Again, I could show this on my cube. So on here, actually, F would be done like this. Basically, it's the front face turned clockwise.
We can't see Mama from there. You have to show it this. Turn the cube towards us and then show.
So this is the F move.
Okay.
Actually, this is the F move. And then the next move is the F prime move, which is basically the front face turn counterclockwise, like this. hard. For example, this is a B move. Wait 1 minute.
The back of the cube.
Yeah, you're turning the back face of the cube counterclockwise. That is a B move. So it would be like this. Wait, like this. For B prime, it is the back face counterclockwise, or this.
Can you just turn the back face front and show?
Alright.
Which
so,
is the
for example, if the B, for example,
what is the B?
B stands for back.
No. Which move is B? Now you show.
So, this is B.
Okay.
Here is B prime.
Okay. Clockwise and counterclockwise. Fine.
Exactly. And last but not least, we have B2, which would go with
Twice.
B twice. Exactly, like this. And B3 is B prime, but hey, it is better to write B prime instead. However, the B move will be more or less an unnecessary move. However, it could be found in other algebra. Anyway, now it's time to show the algorithm, how to solve the cube. First, let me scramble up the cube. There are actually 43 quintillion possible combinations. However, this method uses only 120 moves, yet it is really easy to follow. First step is the cross. This is, by the way, the easiest step. I decided to split it up into two subsets, the daisy and last but not least, the cross.
What is the subsets? What are subsets?
The subsets are basically the steps broken down into other smaller and simpler.
And what is
steps.
this daisy and all?
The daisy is basically the thing you need to form is actually look like a daisy, but it's not a real.
Slowly, go slowly, Tojo. You're going very fast.
Alright, so here is the daisy. You basically take the yellow center and surround it with a bunch with all the white edges.
Okay.
Once you've done that, you have made the daisy.
How did you do that? With what moves?
That is actually intuitive.
Okay.
It depends on the starting scramble, and there's
Achha.
no algorithm for it, as
Okay.
there's so many possible combinations.
Achha. Okay.
Then you make sure that the other color on the edge, like here, matches the center that it's on. For example, here the green white edge matches the green edge center over here. Once you have that, just turn that thing once. A good thing to do is after lining up, face it like this.
So you'll fall down.
Right side, and you are too. This brings the edge onto the white center, giving one piece of the cross.
Why don't you sit in now?
However, what if a piece like this blue-white one over here is not in its correct spot? Simple. We do random U moves until it gets here. For example, here I can see that if I do a U prime move, then both the blue one and the red one are solved.
Show.
For example, here you can see that the blue matches up and the red matches up. You can do F2 and then R2, but you can also do R2 and then F2. The choice is yours. And last but not least, I have one more one, so I'll just do a U prime, and then solve it down with R2. And there's your cross done. The next step is pretty easy, and you only need one algorithm to solve it. So, this basically solves all the corners, completing the first face of the cube. For example, here, so to do it, put the corner you have on top of its spot. For example, here you should put, I am going to put the green, white, orange corner on top of its spot here. And then do this algorithm many times until it is in its place. Or U prime, U prime. If you get it in the first turn, that's really good. But you can take any of these ones. For here, if the white is on top instead on the right, like it was for the one algorithm case, then you have to repeat the algorithm 3 times. Thing is, if the white color is on top, that is facing towards you on the front like this, then you have to do it 5 times. What if a corner is already in its spot but in the wrong orientation? It's simple. Do the same alg and it will surely get out of its spot, and then you can just repeat the alg many times. Now we have another 2 algs to finish the second step. That is the first 2 layers. This step solves these 2, the 4 middle layer edges, thus completing another layer of our cube. That 2 algs you could have. First one is what I'll call the left alg because it inserts the edge into the left side. It goes like this: U prime, L prime, U, L, U, F, U prime, F prime. And notice that we did not affect this side. However, there's another alg. Namely, is you could have that the edge has to go into the right direction. For example, like in here. What do you do here? Well, in this case, you do the following alg. U, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, F prime, U, F. And that will get into the edge. But having all this said, you might be having another question in mind. Namely, what if the edge is in its spot but in the wrong orientation, like in here? Well, for that, you actually do any one of the algs. For example, here, I'm just going to do the right alg. Notice that does not get the edge into its same spot, but in the right orientation, but it does take it out. And now you just need to do the correct alg. For here, I again will do the right alg. To the 4th step, solving the yellow cross. This one, to do this, we first will orientate all the edges. The first sub step. For the first case you can get is a dot in the middle. Here, you actually do this alg. You do F or U or prime, U prime, F prime. That will get you to the second case, namely in L shape. Put this L at the back left, like this. And then do the following alg. The same alg all over. F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. That will give us the third case, a line segment. Put the line segment so that it's horizontal and then do the same as once more. That will give you the last case, the solved cross here. Now comes the next step, which is how to solve the edges. This basically positions the edges in the right spot. First, the easiest case, first rotate the U layer until you have two edges solved. In this case, you will if they are adjacent, then make sure that one of the solved edges is on the right and one of the unsolved edges is facing toward you in the front. Then do this as all U, all prime U, all U2, all prime U, and that will swap these two edges. Of course, another question arises. Wait, what? What if the two edges you have are actually opposite from each other? For example, I'm just going to try and get this. In this case, here these two edges are solved.
Jojo, you are coming more closer and that person will not be able to hear.
Here, just set it up in the same way with one of the solved edges pointing at the right and one of the unsolved ones at the front, and here you do the ALG. You should have a different case, namely two adjacent edges swapped. Then position one of the solved edges again on the right and an unsolved edge on the front, and do the entire ALG once more. And that will lead you to a fully solved cross. At this point, we have finished all the edges. Only the corners are left. We have already dealt with the bottom layer corners, so only the top layer corners are left to tackle. This next step will orientate all the corners. We do not care about the position of those. We'll fix that in the final step. For this, you rotate the cube such that the yellow side is on the bottom and white side is on top. Then position a non-orientated edge on its spot like this, and then do the following out. All U, all prime, U prime. This is the same out that got the corners into the first layer, and we're going to use it again to orientate the last layer corners. We'll continue this out until one of the corners has been orientated correctly. Namely, the yellow side shall be facing down. Once you've got that, just do a random D-move such that a non-orientated corner is again under here, like this. And then you continue doing the same out. By the end, the entire cube should be unaffected except for the fact that all the top layer corners shall be orientated correctly. And last but not least, we have the grand finale, solving the cube. Here, we are going to use two sequences. This sequence, or U R prime, is going to be the forward sequence, and the inverse of U prime R prime is going to be the backward sequence. First, do the forward sequence. Notice that we took out the corner. Then find the corner's correct spot. In this case, it should should be over here. Then do a D move such that the corner do a D move such that the slot is over here. Last but not least, then do the backward sequence. You should take out another corner, then move it over to the next slot and continue doing this until the entire cube is solved. However, there might be something wrong, but there might be something that will not be right. You might ask, what if it's like this? Here, so because I showed you an example where one corner was solved. Here we're going to do something similar. We're going to take a random edge out, put it under its right slot, put it and put the edge in. However, notice that if we do the next thing, then the other two edges are left. How do we solve it then? Simple. We do a move such that another unsolved corner is here. Then do the backward sequence. And then move it over and then continue until you have solved the entire thing. Sometimes your last layer will actually be misaligned, like here, but that's okay. Just do a D move until the sides match and voila, you have solved your cube. Last but not least, I'm going to show a walkthrough through this method. You can watch this and relearn all the algorithms. So here, I'm going to do white cross. First step, the daisy. I've already gone 2 edges done. Remember, this is the only step that does not require any algs. I'm just going to move the pieces into their right spot. That's the cross done. Second step. Pretty smooth. Also, you might wonder, what if all the edges, all the corners are in the right orientation and in the first layer, but in the wrong position? Simple. You do the alg and take out any one of them, then put it into its place. Similar to how we tackled the last step there, solving the cube. Alright, now I have solved the first phase. I'm just gonna continue. Going to orientate all the edges. I'm just going to figure out which edges are unsolved. It looks like that these 2 edges are okay to go. So now I'm just going to do the alg. Got that correct. Now I'm just going to orientate all the corners. By the way, make sure you do this last U move. Otherwise, you will mess up the alg. See, I was a bit confused. Wait, that didn't work. The solution again, because if you're not careful, then you can actually mess this up as what happened. Again, I'm just going to make the daisy. I'm going to insert everything. I'm going to solve the corners. For example, here I'm just going to do this multiple times. And now this. Take out this, do this 3 times, and solve this one too. Now I am in the second layer. solve the thing. And positioning the edges. I'm going to orientate the corners. Last few prime move, which is part of the out. And lastly, I'm just going to solve the cube. Cube fully solved. Bye bye.